Hello, everyone, and thank you for checking out Tuxedo Cat Productions. I'm here with a new guest of the show, Katie.
Hello.
Hi, or Lovely Moonwall.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your name?
Yeah. So my name is Katie, but the lovely came from when I was 16 years old. I decided that I wanted to create my art under a different name. So I wanted to be, I don't know, like writers, like
Sure.
ghost writers kind of have like their own name, or you
Yeah.
can have a pen name or whatever.
Super secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt like I needed a name, and there was this album that I really liked back in the day by Walt Mink, which was like this, kind of like emo-y, shoegazy, I don't know, kind of artist. But he had this song called Lovely Arrhythmia. So that was my name at first, was Lovely Arrhythmia. And that was on my Deviant Art, one of the first like social medias for artists,
yeah.
right? And I did that for a while, and then it transformed over the years and became Lovely Moonwall. And so when I became a performance artist, I kind of inherited that name because
Right.
it felt very magical, and for spinning and flow arts and stuff, Lovely Moonwall seemed like it made sense.
Yeah.
So then, fast forward a few years later, I've kind of dropped the wall.
Yeah.
Ironically, after having that wall art exhibit thing
Oh, yeah.
that I did a couple years back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I dropped the wall, weirdly enough. But so now it's just Lovely Moon. And yeah, so
And here we are.
people call me Lovely, people call me Katie, people call me Moon. It could be anything.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Katie is an artist, Huntersville, Charlotte region artist. What's your medium? What's your platform on how you do express yourself?
So mediums are hard for me because I feel like I like to try them all. Like I don't want to be confined to one type of art ever.
Yeah.
So it started out first, I was really into more like illustration, just drawing, painting, things like that. And then I really liked mixed media for a while, so I did a lot of like collage work, mixed media work, did wood burns and carvings and things like that. And now I'm kind of moving back into that more minimalistic illustration mindset in my artwork. But I also flow art and dance and those other byproducts of just being creative, I guess.
That's kind of how we know each other, through the flow world. Katie does a hula hoop. Well, you do other things, but at the time you were hula hooping, and I was probably poi and then beginning staff.
Yeah.
But that's how we know each other. But one of the reasons that I wanted to invite you on the show is because I assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I am boldly assuming that something big has happened to you. And the reason I assume is you are an active Instagram poster of your art and your movement, and very similar to what I do, and I post a lot, a daily basis at least. And so I recognize all of a sudden you were gone. And I'm like, oh, okay, hiatus. I've done the social media hiatus a few times. She must be doing that, and you were gone for a while. And then all of a sudden, like, gosh, it feels like forever. You're back.
Yeah.
And you're back with a vengeance. Like you're back with more confidence. It feels like that time that you had taken was helpful. I kind of want to dive into maybe a little bit of what you went through before I release the gates. I'd like for you and I to kind of share a little bit about what social media is for us.
Sure.
So I'm 33, or I'm 34 now. So I'm 34. In college in 2004, I remember that's when Facebook began.
Yeah.
And that was when it was really cool to get on social media, because MySpace and Friendster was before that. And man, that was really grunge.
Yeah.
You got to do your own coding on your profile in MySpace. That's how I learned how to insert image. But yeah, I went through high school not having Facebook, and I mean, I'm so thankful for being able to grow as a young child or to have grown as a young kid without having all of the pressures of what social media can do to a young mind.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, do you wanna share a little bit about how you got started and what it was for you when, growing up as a young kid? We're all a new generation of social media expression openly, with no consequences. Right. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so my first experience with social media, I feel like I was kind of like one of the underground of social media, because even though how old am I? I'm 31, 32. 30.
In 3 months.
Something like that. I'm somewhere around 31 or 32. I'm not quite sure. But even at that age, like, I didn't have a cell phone when I was younger. We didn't have access to computers like that when we were younger. We had dial-up internet, which was like, it took, 45 minutes just to get connected to the internet, let alone open a browser and start searching something.
So slow.
So slow. But I was so into it when I was younger. And so I'd get on every platform that I possibly could and try and be a part of it. So there were like these really indie social media places like Makeout Club and Friendster and MySpace, and then there was other little off spurts that were specific to different scenes, quote unquote, that you were a part of back then. But so I really got into all of that when I was younger, and I even had my own online punk rock e-zine. Like, made my own website.
Oh, yeah.
And it was called Halfway Pretty. Like, that, my Tumblr is still Halfway Pretty. Like, that was my, like, whole thing back then. And I was really into more website design stuff. So I would take my art and I would scan it onto the computer. And then I would make, like, these, like, multimedia web pages that you could,
like, Geocities, because it's the only website I know.
Yeah, I mean, for just like hosting.
Yeah.
And I actually was lucky because when I was younger, I made friends in Charlotte who were gamers. They were really into playing games and stuff, and they were also coders, so they did a lot of online things, and they had their own servers. So I was able to just download a FTP and create my own website and then upload it to their servers, and I was able to like host my stuff for free, basically.
Yeah.
And they were just awesome. It was a really cool thing that I was doing back then.
Yeah.
So I actually was a few years younger than you, so I didn't get on Facebook right away because I didn't go to college. So all my friends had Facebook because they went to college, and you had to have it at edu email address to get one.
Yep.
So I didn't end up getting on Facebook until really way later, till it opened up to the public because I wasn't a college student.
Right.
So that was a little bit, of a different thing.
Gosh.
Once I got into Facebook, I was like, oh no, like, what is happening with social media? And then when Instagram came out, I thought that was a really cool alternative. You could stay in touch with everyone. You could just see a picture and just keep scrolling.
No chit-chatting.
Yeah, you don't have to have all this, interaction or, family members, things like that. It was like you created your own community within this community, right?
The social media, I remember, I mean, I went to school for communication. I've always been into how people communicate, especially video and video editing. So I was making videos and throwing them on YouTube. In 2004 is a big year for all this stuff. But I remember, like, man, there was no real use for social media other than for me to sit there and lament. I just remember, I need to put a a sad song up because I'm feeling sad because
Right.
because my boyfriend dumped me. True story. But you know, and there
Oh,
I
yeah.
am sitting listening to the song on my own profile because this
Yeah.
is what social media does for me. But as I grew as a visual producer, entertainer, content producer, whatever they call me these days, somebody who makes videos and throws it on the internet. Social media was good for that sort of expression, and I mean it wasn't until gosh, so 2004 is when it started for me, and it's now 2018. Probably the last.
2019.
Oh gosh, you're right. It wasn't. I would probably say in the past 4 years, for me, it started to go downhill because that's when the parents started getting online, and that caused the whole thing in the society of social media.
Right.
It's
like
privacy.
Yeah. When anything becomes really mainstream, it kind of waters it down to a certain extent. And then you have the algorithm thing that always plays a part because so it gets more popular, then people want to take advantage of the algorithm, then it becomes like a whole game of cat and mouse. How do I make the algorithm work for me? And like, you know, then your content isn't as authentic because you're so worried about how can I make this work so people will just see it, or so that somebody will be drawn to it, and it's not really, then it loses a little bit of itself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In my opinion.
So I want to take that and lead into, I have a feeling where this is where the assumption comes in. You had something big happen which made you get the heck out of Facebook, Instagram. I don't know what other places you frequent, but you took a social media hiatus. Is this your first time taking a hiatus?
I guess really it's not my first time. I would say to this extent, yes, with regards to Instagram specifically.
Yeah.
Facebook wasn't as hard to get rid of, in my opinion. I was just like, you know what? When the election started happening and I had to hear everyone's opinions regarding other people's opinions, it was just like, okay, this is just like a really ugly wormhole that I don't want to, you know, spend my life sitting inside of, and a lot of people are, and that started to really bother me. So then anything that I was posting to Facebook that was, you know, a legitimate thing, trying to promote something or share art, just got lost like in all the mess of drama.
Yeah.
You know? And then Instagram, well, I was maybe what we would call an Instagram addict. I was posting several times a day, and it became really intense. And then you're sitting there watching yourself, and from a performer's viewpoint, it's always nice to record yourself.
Yes.
And then watch yourself back, and you can kind of critique yourself.
Absolutely.
That way. Then you come into this whole other realm of, oh, let me share this with other people and post it for them to see.
And so see what they think.
Yeah. So then you have people posting their comments and making their, you know, opinions be known. And you're, you know, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes you're not really sure what they mean by it. And then I felt like after that, it became, it was like it did the opposite. Instead of helping me with my creativity, instead of making me feel like more confident in what I was doing and like, oh yeah, I'm on the right track, I'm doing this, people are feeling it, it had the opposite effect to where I was like, okay, I'm doing this, but nobody's feeling it. Why are people not feeling it? And I don't know if that really was the case, or if it was just like a mental block that was created by the actual number of likes and views and things like that we get obsessed about as self-promoting artists on a social media platform, because you want to have proof that people are seeing it, that it's getting out there, that your presence is known, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
You're getting a gratification, you're getting a result for putting something out there. You want, or a pushback, a response. You want to know that somebody somewhere saw it
Exactly.
and liked it.
Yeah.
Or, not liked it preferably.
Yeah. Yeah. Gave you the double tap and you're like, oh, that's nice, But I don't know. I just got to where I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm moving backwards. I feel like my confidence as an artist, my confidence as a human being really was kind of like hanging in this like, oh, but what about what people think on Instagram, or you know what I mean? Like it got too uh, enveloped in the social media side of it.
So I felt very much the same thing there. I remember one part of my life, I was going through the time of my life when I was fired from my job and I was going through depression. I worked with an artist we both know called Shabaka. He took a lot of pictures of
Shabaka. Me. He's great.
But I used that photo shoot as a way, like I called him up and said, I'm depressed. I'm not going to be super giddy model for you, but I would like to show the camera how I feel. I want to show people on Instagram how I feel, because everyone thinks I'm happy-go-lucky because everything I put up there is so fantastic. So then came my era of posting sexy pictures on Instagram, because the pictures Shabaka takes are just fantastic. In my opinion, very tasteful for how I like to show my body, and great artwork, but scandalous, risque, suggestive. Pick a whole slew of words that mean similar to. And so then I would post these pictures, and man, people love these pictures.
Oh yeah.
Where you show a little cleavage, you show a little curve, you get a little butt in there, you're so cute. I'm feeling cute, have a look at how cute I am, and then you get a good picture, and man, you get real good with that selfie. And then you start reaching out to all these photographers to get all these sweet, sexy pictures of you, because you gotta get those likes, how many photographers that year did I link up with? Just to get time for print is what I know it as. Is I give you my time, you give me those prints, or the JPEGs. I post them on Instagram. People love it. Oh, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, I wish I was like you. And I tell you, I remember the days when I got a lot of likes on some of those pictures, and that all I wanted was more.
Yeah.
There was no satisfaction for me.
No, definitely.
Oh, what picture will I put up next? How will I outdo that butt picture?
Right. Well, and that's the point, isn't it? Like, of social media, is that it's that instant gratification that people want out of life. And that's why, it started off as a platform that had the possibility and had the potential to be like really connecting and like to bring people together, which I think that it did in a lot of, I experienced a lot of different ways that social media brought people together. For me, one of those examples is I had a collective, the Jivan Mukti collective, which was basically like I wanted to bring together all these people that I was inspired by. So I had like people who made clothing. All of it was all natural. All of it was more like sustainable, going toward like environmentally friendly, consumer conscious, kind of promoting like those positive aspects of our consumerism based society, right? Because that's what people are pumping on Instagram. Oh, buy my clothes, buy my jewelry, buy my handmade shit.
Yeah.
And
piggybacking.
Yeah. And so I felt like it's made more sense to me to group together these people who are like-minded, so that people had a place where they could just go and say, oh, wow, they're part of this collective, that all these people are like-minded. And you could look through and say, well, I love clothing by this brand, these people who make it. You can see all the other types of companies that make clothing like that. You can meet all the artists that are similar in the style. You can meet all the different yogis that are. So that was my idea with the collective. I had performance artists, I had yoga instructors, I had spiritualists, astrologists, clothing makers, jewelry makers, artists, everything. And so for me, it was a really positive experience because I got to connect across country,
through the social media
through social
collective.
media.
Yeah.
And we were able to create this really cool collective where we were spreading really positive messages, you know,
Yes.
sustainability, saving our environment through our consumerism instead of, you know, going and buying a bunch of crap that's
Sure.
going to hurt our environment, you know, put your money where your mouth is kind of thing, you know. And so I had a positive experience with that, but overall, I would say that social media is just too much of that in your face instant gratification. You can just look at a photo, people are going to like it, they're not really even having a thought about it. And of course, the things that are more sexy and like that erotic, you know, feeling in people is going to draw them more than just like a picture of, you know, some clouds or like somebody's flowers or things like that, you know. It's not going to be as like, ooh, I like that, you know.
So I've been analyzing this, and it's hard to find an answer. I'm sure it is for everyone. There's the primal fear that I can understand as a human being, the sexual desire towards visual images. I'm not above saying that a sexy woman grabs my attention, albeit more than a man. Women just something really nice to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know every human on this earth has a different point of view, structured by different experiences that they've had in their own regard. But when it comes to humans, we all know what it feels like to want to reproduce, because that is how evolution works. You have to multiply, and so humans want to reproduce. And I feel like when you see the visual of reproduction, I'm not a man and I can't speak for a man, I can speak for me. When I see a picture of a naked woman, when I was young and didn't know anything about the body, when I saw a pair of boobs, I was aroused and I looked at it. That's got to be the same thing that's happening with people on a daily basis on Instagram.
Right.
And I mean,
sex sells. I mean, that's what they've always said.
Humans are going, yes,
Yeah.
It's a human nature. You cannot stop the desire to look at boobies. And
Right.
so if you want to get what you want to get and you show your boobs,
yeah,
you get what you get what you're going for, which that's to each their own.
mm-hmm.
You can't fight that. That is what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, sorry, I knew you were going to go off on a tangent and I kept going, but I just feel like everybody that what I see and what I think is beautiful, and just, man, I'll post something up and it'll just be like, this is the coolest thing ever. That angle's great. You can see all this. I can see all the secrets, and then nobody likes it.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody likes, and you're man, this is my soul, this is my expression, this is me coming out. I'm finally able to find it and show it and visualize it. Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
And here's a picture of my ass, and everyone loves it.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel so disconnected. There's no authenticity in social media. How can I have a conversation with somebody if they don't care about who I am?
Right. Yeah. Well, and you know, the wonderful thing about Instagram was that you could just post a photo and maybe put a few words underneath it, and somebody would be like, oh, that's real simple, and like, oh, I like that, you know. But it's also the exact same thing. The thing that we love about it is what is actually making it bad, because then you're only getting a glimpse into the production of the art or the artists themselves or just the person, whoever it is. It's all about persona, and creating an online persona has become like a rite of passage in our society. And so
Wild Wild West also.
Yeah, it's
no rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, It's a whole creature in its own, social media. It really is.
Well, I think about me and how I experienced it from the very beginning and how I've been with it, watching it grow. And then I think about the 8-year-old um, that my boyfriend, his daughter, like when does she have her own YouTube channel and when does she have her own Instagram? Because she sees me on it, she sees her mom on it, she sees other people on it, so she knows it's coming to her one day. Now, the thing about why I like to refer to social media as the Wild Wild West, because people like me who have grown up with it, we are now dealing with the mental repercussions of what social media does to human beings and the human mind and and how people interact with each other. And just the negative effects. There are lots of positives, lots of positives. You can't have the evolution we have today without connection of brain and communication of idea. But when you give negative people the microphone, there's so many sensitive ears listening that will hopefully not. My fear is they take on this negativity as I did, because I went through something which nobody knew what it was going to do to me or society. Nobody knew what social media, how it would influence my daily decisions. But now there's people like us who know and smart enough to talk and think through it and come up with ideas amongst each other, share stuff like this to the world, to look for other people who are thinking the same thing. Now that we are doing this, the kids who are growing up with it now can at least have some sort of a fallback system of, like, it's a double-edged sword, actually. So now that we can tell people, the little kids, what to expect. Hey, social media is X, Y, and Z, and it might do this to you and it might do that to you, and here's how you can combat when these things happen. There's all these different things that you can approach, but then there's also a new territory of, when do we let kids on it? When are their minds strong enough to take on social media?
I mean, were our minds strong enough
No.
when we were like 15
No.
to take on social media the way that we did? And I think that's a really interesting thing, because as I'm getting older and as I begin to have friends that are having children, I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews, and I have friends that have kids, and it's like, you notice there's quite a separation in people nowadays. And one of the big things that's separating parents, I feel like, from my observation, are the ones who recognize that technology maybe isn't as great as we thought it was, and that, keeping it to a minimum is actually more, beneficial for children. And then there's the ones who their approach is, it's there, just let them have it. You know what I mean? And then it's just like 24/7 in their eyes and their head and their ears, and nobody really monitoring what it is that they're seeing on the internet either. So,
well, how can you? I mean, I know there's parental locks and whatnot, but I was a kid young with the internet.
So
I will find it.
They get past it. They get past it every time. And, it worries me. It worries me about the generations that are coming up, and I worry about my niece, especially having like issues with self-image, and self-worth,
normal human problems without the internet,
that now are exacerbated because every day you have the image of some perfect, thin or maybe perfectly voluptuous in the right areas girl who's in a bikini and, in Qatar, like, living it up.
Man,
like,
she paid a lot of money to get 10 cajillion followers. Give me a break. And 33,000 people don't give a shit about what you're doing.
Yeah, no, there's no way. There's no way. But, and then I also see, like, the other day I was because I haven't been on Instagram, I was just kind of floating through some of my friends that I've been friends with from the very beginning, and in similar, modes of apparatus as far as like flow arts and what they're doing with their lives, and to see them go from one, to see their level of skill go from where it started and be able to see them like killing it as like a circus performer basically, and to go from 100 followers to 22.2 thousand. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something that you're like, wow, bravo. You know what I mean? But at the same time, does it really even, if I were to have more followers, would it elevate my career? Probably not. Probably not, because social media as a whole is an inauthentic realm. You know what I mean? So even when I've gotten into situations where I've met friends via social media and made these connections, and then you finally meet them in person, and it's just like so lame, and there's no connect there.
There's
and I'm
no
like,
chemistry.
How when we've been talking for all this time and we've exchanged ideas about art and like all these things, and then you finally meet up and you're like, I can't wait to meet this person, and it's a complete letdown.
You're only connecting via words,
right?
Yeah.
And or a lot of my experiences, unfortunately, that I've had is that people like to say that they're down to collaborate or to do something or to be a part of something, and then when it really comes down to taking action, people bail. And I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if it's a geographical thing.
Could be the accepting all the invitations on Facebook and then never going to any of them.
Exactly.
Can I just say something to everyone listening? RSVP is there's a reason for that, because the person who throws the party needs to know how many people are coming.
Yeah.
So when you RSVP and I have a plate all set up ready for you, can't wait for you to be here, and you don't go because you found something else that was a little bit more you, I don't care if you found something more you, but B, I care about the money of that I set up the time that I wasted setting up your shit.
Oh, it's hilarious. And I think that a lot of that, like especially with Facebook, is that people want to give the image that they're out and doing things. Look at how busy my life is. Look at all these events that I'm going to. None of those people are at those events. You know what I mean? Because they're not there because they're sitting in front of their computer RSVPing to events on Facebook. That's why they're not there. Like it's like this whole weird fake reality that they've created with social media nowadays.
I had a friend who used to tell me that she would say either she's going or interested in
it.
Either way. But she literally said to me, just so I can pick the right one that I want to go to. There's nothing wrong with somebody curating their day that way. And I'm glad Facebook has created an interested tab, because it does alleviate some of the RSVP issues. But I don't understand. I feel like that is the norm now, is you just say you're going to everything so you can pick and choose what you're going to, and I feel like it's making a bad routine for people.
Yeah.
Because you're unreliable. Like for me, if we have a date, like a work date, and we're scheduled to do work together, I'm on time and I'm there, and I'm letting you know if anything's happening. And I know everyone's human. I give people the benefit of the doubt. You're not, you push something, you miss something here and there, that's fine. But when people constantly miss things, or they constantly get a rain check, I'm checking out. This person is no longer reliable. And I think that mentality is practiced via social media, via saying you're going to go and then not going. So it's just another bad habit that people are practicing on a daily basis that will harm you in the long run. It's like if you eat an ice cream cone every day, you're going to eventually gain weight. If you practice a negative habit like that, and I mean, then
it's going to have a negative effect eventually.
It grows, and it grows in a sort of exponential It may not be this year or next year, but eventually those negative habits are going to hurt the people growing up, the kids growing up who they don't have any other examples,
Right.
unless they. But
it's a very interesting thing to me how a platform for communication and improving communication could actually stifle and cut off our line of communication to one another so severely. And it's as simple as, I think that people don't realize how social media truly affects them. If we were to go and look at our likes on social media, on Instagram, for instance, if we each took time to go and just look through all the posts that we've liked and then ask ourselves, so what does this actually say about me?
Yeah, what,
you know what I mean? Why am I drawn to this? What is it?
Why did I interact with it?
That I'm getting from this, even, And a lot of the time, it's really just something as simple as that person is my friend, so I'm gonna like their post, and it could have no weight, no effect on you. It could mean nothing, but in the same regard, you can go and there's people that are going to look through artwork on Instagram and treat it the same way, where they're just scrolling through until there's something that catches their eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a weird thing. It's like, you're kind of giving too many options almost to people. Whereas like back in the day when you were an artist and you got published in a magazine, there's only so many artists that you're going to be looking at in that magazine, and it's going to force you, if you want to know more about them, to go and look them up and do your own research.
That's how I like to use.
Right, or in a gallery setting. If you're in a gallery and you're looking through and you see it's only so many artists that are going to be displayed there, and then you are responsible for taking the authentic action to really discover more from this artist,
There's one of the ways I, in an effort to change my habits on social media, getting off Facebook, I think, has been one of the best things I've ever done for my mental health and just my confidence in general, and my time. I have so much more time now.
Oh, yeah.
But I do give myself Instagram, and there's many reasons which I don't need to go into in this conversation. But I like to use Instagram like a producer would. For instance, for this podcast show, or for a theater show I want to do in a few months, I'm looking at my Instagram and I'm watching people, because I look at it on a daily basis. I watch how people grow. Yeah. I watch how much they're into what they're doing, because of how much they post, and I can pick and choose talent that I want to delegate tasks to. And as a producer, I love that. That's why it's Tuxedo Cat Productions, because I want to, you like doing this? Well, here, why don't you do it here, and let's put on a show. And I like putting those people in the right seats, and Instagram is a great way to quote unquote shop for your talent.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's probably what a lot of people are doing, but I want to leave with this question.
Okay.
Do you think that person who's super good with their flow arts and really great with a hula hoop, and man, they paint really great pictures, or really great bartender, really great chef, look at those pictures of those food, do you think those people would be that good if there wasn't a comparison platform like Instagram to constantly throw stuff out there? I dare say part of the reason I'm good at what my flow art is so good is because those videos look pretty dang cool, I think. Yeah. So I kept recording, aka I kept practicing and practicing, because I wanted to be better and better and better, because I wanted my Instagram post to be better. Yeah. Now the question I want to say is, do we want to knock social media for kind of how it steals our time? but yet, do we also want to forgive it for the amount of creativity it motivates us to have?
Oh, definitely. I have a love-hate relationship with social media, and I wouldn't say that I've had like any like bad, like overwhelmingly bad experiences because of social media, um, with regards to my art or anything. And honestly, the reason that I took a hiatus was more for a personal, like, just needed that mental clarity and like needed to stop comparing myself or the way that I feel on the inside to how people appear on the outside. So, and I think that that's what happens a lot on social media is that comparison. So like we're seeing all these people doing all these wonderful things and living it up, and we're like, oh, I'm here in Sandusky, Ohio, and it's cloudy and cold. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like our life doesn't have to be like a glamorous social media feed.
Sorry, I gotta move my car.
But I will say that I think that social media it has been really great. I think it's a wonderful place for people to come together and to promote collaboration. It's finding the way to make it collaborative and not competitive, right? Like, why would we compete against each other? Really, any artist, in my opinion, why would we compete against each other? Because no artist is going to be able to recreate the art of another.
Correct.
Your right hand is not like anybody else's right hand, and their left hand's not like anybody else's left hand.
Right.
So it's going to create something totally different. Whether you're using the same brushes, the same paints, it doesn't matter. But I think that, it's just kind of like a weird thing, social media. How do we, as artists, we want to make something work for us. We don't want to be inauthentic. We don't want to post just visuals that don't really give a full perspective of what it is that we're creating. But we also don't want to give away the whole, cake.
God, yes.
When it's like, I just want to give you a taste of what I got so that you want to come to my bakery and try it all. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so how, that's the question, I guess, as an artist more so is like, how do we sell ourselves via social media without having to give ourselves away for free?
Love that. Well, today has been an excellent episode on the Stream of Consciousness Tuxedo Cat production show here with Katie, lovely Moonwall. I'm not actually sure what episode we are, but I'm pretty sure that the trial routine period of just creating a show has come to an end, and I think it's time to create an actual show. So the next time you tune into this podcast, it will be the Stream of Consciousness show with Caitlin, that's me, and any guest who would like to come on and talk about anything. We had Katie on today. We have Jane on every other week. Jane the Guide, who's a fantastic spiritual leader, advisor of sorts. And we just come on here and we share our feelings about, a platform for talking, which that's something I wanted to bring up, that sometimes Instagram or Facebook is not the right platform for your message, which is why I started this podcast, because I knew that the clientele that listens to podcasts are a little bit more my area. That's where I want to reach. So thank you everyone for reaching. Do hope you subscribe and share with your friends. That's how we get noticed and get a little bit more credit for doing, bold discussions, bring more people in, get more attention. That's what we want. We want to be loud. We want to make waves. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Stay tuned. This is a very special episode here, and we'll be back next week. Thank you so much. See you later.